to start off coming down slowly onto the knees, nice and carefully, always trying to be aware of how it feels for your body. If anything doesn't feel good, don't do it. We're going to move towards the back of the mat to sit back onto the heels. And just take your time with this, make sure it feels okay, especially for the knees, but also for the feet and the ankles, pointing the toes away if that's all right, and you feel okay like this. And then we're going to stretch the arms out at shoulder height, about shoulder width apart. Bring your fingers down onto the mat. Start to stretch the fingers away from you, allowing your head to look down. You can place your palms down on the mat, but try and keep your elbows off the mat. Let your head just look down. Notice how this feels. You're still sitting back on the heels, but at the same time you're reaching forward a little bit into your fingers, so you get a bit of a stretch up into the shoulders. And then from here, come up onto your hands and knees. So step the knees and feet about hip width apart. If this isn't comfortable on the knees, you can always either fold the mat underneath for a bit of extra padding. You could fold it from behind to give just a little bit more padding to make the knees comfortable. And the knees and feet are about hip width apart. The hands are pretty much underneath your shoulders and you're spreading your fingers out as wide as you can. From here, taking a breath in and looking forward, opening up your chest as much as possible. And then from here, press into your hands, start to arch your back up and allow your head to relax down. And just see, how does this feel doing the movement a few times? If you can, move with your breath, so you're breathing in, looking forward, and as you breathe out, you're arching your back up. Just see, how does this feel now? A nice stretch into the back. Continuing to do this, notice how it feels for the wrists. So try to keep some weight forward into the base of your fingers as you press down into the hands, particularly when you're looking forward. So as you look forward, you're opening up your chest, a bit more weight goes into the hands. Then as you arch your back up, you're really pulling the stomach muscle in a little, feeling that stretch along the back. So just doing a couple of these, as long as it feels good. And then we're going to stay in position on hands and knees, but with the back relatively flat. Lift your right hand off the mat and just stretch that arm out to the side. So you're still pressing into the left hand, the base of the fingers. You're stretching the right arm out to the side. Maybe even stretch it up a little, just see how it feels though. Everything should be pain-free. And then we'll bring that hand down to rest, wrist more or less under your shoulder. Bring your left hand out to the side, stretch it out, see how it feels, and then maybe even stretch it up a little, but just do what you can. Then we'll bring that hand down, resting here. Notice how it feels on the wrists. If at any stage you start to feel this strongly, you can just shake out the wrists to loosen them, or fold your thumb in, fingers over, and just loosen here. We're going to go on and do a couple more stretches now. The next one is a bit more for the legs. So come to this position again on hands and knees. Wrists under the shoulders, knees and feet hip width apart. Curl your right toes under, straightening that right leg out behind. Press into the foot and just see how it feels before you go further. As long as it feels okay, you're lifting it up to about hip level. Holding here. Notice now the extra pressure on the wrist, so try to keep pressing into the base of the fingers as well as the effort you're using in the leg. You can point the toes away from you and then back towards you, away from you and back towards you. Just see how this stretch feels. Loosening out. Keep breathing nice and deeply all the time. And then we're going to relax the foot, rest the knee down. Give the wrist a shake at any stage if you need to. Otherwise we'll do the left leg curling, the left toes underneath. Lifting that left leg up just to about hip level. See how does this feel. Steadying yourself here and then pointing the toes away from your face and back towards you. Loosening out. Just noticing how does it feel now. Easing into this. taking a couple of deep breaths. Make sure you keep breathing all the time, loosening. And then we're going to rest that knee down. And just take a break for a moment, shaking out the wrists. If you have socks on, let's just take them off if you can for a moment, because we're going to go into a slightly stronger stretch using the mat as well. So you can keep it, if you need it under the knees, you could bend it from the front or from the side. Just make sure you have mat to grip onto behind. We're starting again from this table position, so we're on our hands and knees. Spread those fingers out nice and wide for a good base with the hands. This time curling the toes underneath, both toes. Lifting the knees off the mat and start to stretch the hips back away from the hands. So this is going into a much stronger pose. So see how it feels. Try to relax your shoulders a little. Maybe straighten your right leg for a moment, then bend that right knee. Straighten the left leg for a moment, then bend the knee. You can straighten one at a time, just to ease out. Come down at any stage if you need to, but try to come down slowly. If you're doing okay, we'll just hold it for 2 more breaths and just see how does this feel. Take your time with it, keep breathing nice and deeply, and then nice and slowly, take your time, use your hands, ease onto the knees, take a moment to point the toes away. We'll sit back then, just take a nice deep breath in, a little recovery. Shake out the wrists as well if you're feeling it there, or fold your thumb in, fingers over, just loosen out. Nice deep breath in here. We're going to do something a little bit different. Now, from the same position of hands and knees, feet hip width apart, hands under the wrists under the shoulders, spread your fingers wide. Loosening out the hip this time, so straightening the right leg behind, lift the right leg up again, then bend the knee, and see, can you just move from the hip, circling the leg, just a couple. You don't have to do too much. Loosening, and then we'll reverse, circle in the opposite direction. See how does this feel? And then we'll rest that knee down. Shake the wrists at any stage just to loosen, and then curl left toes under. So straighten the leg, lift it up just to about hip level. See how this feels. And then we'll bend the knee and we'll just circle. This is a tough enough one, so keep breathing deeply, loosening out, and reverse circle in the opposite direction and see how it feels. And then ease that knee down and sit back for a moment again. Nice deep breath in, shake out the wrists, roll the shoulders up to the ears and down, loosen them out. Notice how the shoulders are feeling as you do this. And then from here, when you've done a couple of shoulder rolls and they feel okay, we're going to come forward one more time to this table position where we're on our hands and knees. Always just checking the position, especially that the knees and feet in line, curling the toes under. Lift your knees off the mat again, stretch back into your hips. So notice how this feels. Strong stretch. Maybe straighten one leg at a time just to get that feeling of easing out the back of the legs again, because this helps the overall flexibility. So loosening out as much as you can. Relax your shoulders a little. We'll just take one more breath now in this one. And then we're going to start to walk the feet forward towards the hands. Walk the hands back towards the feet. So as much as possible so that we're coming into a standing position, but with a bend in the knee, and then tucking the chin into the chest and starting to slowly uncurl. Bringing ourselves back up to standing. Noticing how it feels now to stand. And then if you can, we're going to try a little balance, but use a wall or a chair if you need to. So you're standing onto your right leg, coming up onto the left foot, stretching it forward and back, just loosening out the knees. So take your time with any balancing ones, just loosening. This is good for strengthening the right ankle as well as loosening out the left knee. So give it a go. Oh, you can use a wall, chair, anything you need to and then rest that foot down. And then we're going to go to the other side. So taking your time again, coming up onto the toes, nice and slowly bringing that foot up and stretching out. And you might find on one side you need more support than the other. Just give it a go, see how it feels. And rest that foot down. Great. Roll the shoulders up to the ears and down again, just loosening. Notice how the body feels. Maybe move a little side to side here, just to loosen all over. Take a nice deep breath in, and well done.